There's just something about having your floor vacuumed and mopped when you're not even there, and how awesome is it coming home to a clean floor. Welcome back to another Jeff Reviews for you. And as you saw, we are looking at a self-dumping robot vacuum and mop. How cool is that? You know what? Enough talk. Let's get right into this review. I've reviewed quite a few different robotic vacuums, but none of them have come in a box this size. This is the ECOVACS DEEBOT T20 Omni. Look how big the box is. Let's open this up. As everything's been unboxed, we do now want to prep our D20 for use. So let's just lift off this lid. We're going to set it aside for now. And you see this little blue tag? They have some additional packaging things here just for transport. We want to take that off. Of course, we'll put the lid right back on. We are now going to attach our brushes. You notice there's a color coding here. You have maroon on this side and green on that side. Well, that corresponds to the individual brush heads. So when you put them on, you make sure you hear a click. Push it down. Hear that click? Let's do the other side. There we go. Since we're on the back, let's put in our mop heads. They really are just, could be on either side. You just want to make sure you snap them into place. Hear that click? They will spring, but it's still clicked into place. Let's do the other side. The biggest thing you want to make sure you have done is click them into place, and now they spring. Since we're on the bottom, let's take a look how to access the central roller wheel. I just pinch those in. Of course, I can take the wheel in and out. Notice that there's a metal clip on one side. You slide that in and put it right back, and now we put our lid back on. There we go. I appreciate that ECOVACS has included two different types of brushes. This brush here on the left, it's used to clean out this machine itself. You can notice there's a razor blade here on the top. That's when you're going through the roller wheel. If you have strings or something, you just go across and cut it. The brush on this side is mainly used for cleaning out the machine, the base itself, but you could use it just to clean out any spot. But I appreciate that they have included both of these. It should be noted that this brush can be extended. You push this down here, extend your wand, push it back in, now you're locked back into place. Therefore, you can reach those hard to reach places. I'm not doing a comparison review in this video. I just wanted you to see the sheer size between the ECOVACS T20 Omni and the Honiture self-dumping vacuum robot that I have. Just check that out and take a look. Let's talk about the actual measurements of the ECOVACS. It's an impressive 22.5 inches tall, 17 5/8 of an inch wide, and if you include the dustbin section where the vacuum actually parks itself, it's 15 inches deep. It is gigantic. I have no complaints about the Honiture self-dumping vacuum on the left, except for the mopping feature. That is pretty cumbersome. Every time you want to use it, you have to have the mop pads on, you have to change the water throughout, and it's just cumbersome. This is why I'm very excited to try this ECOVACS, because it has its own capacity to change out the water, and that's really convenient. Let's get the Honiture out of the way so we can officially set up our ECOVACS. All right, so there's a button right under here that you push to activate where your dustbin is, and of course this is how you replace the actual vacuum bag. And once it's replaced, just close that back up. To access where your liquid is, it's just lifting up that lid. You notice there's still some packaging in here meant for transport, so let's take that out. These are simple to navigate. You just really lift up and you can put back down. I think I saw some extra packaging there on the side, yep. Then of course you can also do the same thing to access your dirty water to get rid of that. What I'm gonna do now is we're gonna go fill up our clean water and put it in the machine. Pop up this lid to add your water right in here through this section, and just remember that there is a max fill line. As I was filling, I also learned that you could just open up the lid this way. That was actually a whole lot more convenient to fill it up than trying to get it to go through the hole. Now we just put our water back in, and we are all set up. Now that we have it set up, we've officially plugged it in. Ooh, what's that? Let's hear what it says.
Thanks for choosing the ECOVACS robot. Please scan the QR code for details.
All right, so it looks like our next step is to set up the app. I couldn't find a QR code, but the directions tell us to go to the ECOVACS Home app in your app store. And yes, now I know it's called ECOVACS just based on when it booted up. I thought it was ECOVACS. Anyway, let's find the app. Here we go. Let's hit install. We're going to come back and set this up when it's ready. While our app is downloading, we're going to turn on our ECOVACS so it can get ready to charge. I just placed the robot inside the housing. Let's see what happens.
Thanks for choosing the ECOVACS robot. Please scan the QR code for details.
Well, it asked us to scan the QR code again, but we're already downloading the app. Hopefully this thing is charging. We have the app open. We're going to start the process. Of course, you see it had us select our language. Then there is a user agreement, and you're supposed to actually read this through. And then once you agree to this, then you're supposed to come down and, well, agree to the conditions. There are a lot of conditions here, so make sure you thoroughly read these things through before clicking agree and continue. There's actually also a privacy policy. Man, there is a lot to go with this thing. So make sure you read through all, how many are there? 10 different things that you have to read through to make sure you fully understand the privacy policy. Wow, that's a lot. So I was going to do a screen record to go through the ECOVACS process of installation, except it's a violation of their policy to record the screen, so I can't do that. So I'm just going to walk you through the steps as I go. All right, so it looks like only the registration was a violation of the policy, but make sure you go through and read their privacy notice and also their user agreement. It is quite lengthy. I'm just going to list this as my home. We're going to enter into the vacuum. We're going to add our robot. Now it's asking us to scan our QR code. And of course, as you saw earlier, it's right on the top of your robotic vacuum. So we have now hooked it up. It just told us that our pairing was completed. We're going to continue with our location service on. We got it. Here it wants to connect now to our network. Of course, it has to be a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. We have already turned ours. It wants us to push the reset button, which is right on top. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hit this little Wi-Fi button here. It told us that it's ready for our network setup. We have heard that sound. Let's hit next. So now it's connecting to our network. After a few seconds, it asked if we wanted to connect to the device. So we're going to say connect.
Connected. Please go back to the app to continue the setup.
Very cool. That was easy to connect, wasn't it? If at any time you don't want to use the app, you just want to do a quick clean, you can push the button on the top and it'll start to clean your house. Of course, the very first time you use it, it will map out the house, and then from there on, it'll clean what was on the map. I think it sort of went around the room. I noticed it didn't go into all the corners, so I wonder if it's going to catch that as it's vacuuming, but now I think it's going to be going through and cleaning up the inner spots. We'll catch back up when this thing is finished, but I can definitely tell it's putting water down and scrubbing it as it's moving. I wonder if the OK Eco is only for Alexa and Google Home. I don't have that, so I'm going to do the quick mapping here from the app.
Start quick mapping.
So we are told it's going to start quick mapping. Let's see what happens. Round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. This is weird. It just drove around the kitchen, not even up against the wall, and it said mapping completed, check your app. Well, check this out. It did not actually go up against the walls, but it seemed to have mapped it out pretty well. I'm excited to see how this does vacuuming and mopping. From our app, we are going to have it mop and vacuum at the same time. Right now it's telling us it's putting in some fresh water, maybe washing the pads. That's kind of cool. It looks like our washing pads have been cleaned, and now there it goes. So it's immediately gone out. I was interested to see what it would do around some of these things that I have as obstacles, but it seems to either bump or go around. That wire does concern me because, to be honest with you, that's how we're powering the vacuum. Let's see what happens when it comes up to that wire. Well, it looks like it's leaving it alone. I am appreciative that it's going up close to the wall. Very cool. Let's keep an eye on this thing. We'll keep it watching it as it's cleaning. But as you can tell, it's vacuuming and mopping. I do love that. I will say there is part up against the wall here that it did not touch. It got within an inch or so in most places here. This area is about 2 inches away, but it does not go flush up against the wall. It looks like it's got something flashing, scanning, just making sure it goes up against the wall. Let me back out of the way. Completely done around the outside perimeter, and now what it looks like it's going to be doing is filling in all the spots it missed in the middle. Halfway through the vacuuming and mopping, the vacuum cleaner said it has to return back to the base to clean the mopping pads. So that's good that it knows that it's getting too dirty to continue cleaning. Well, check this out. I can see it drawing from the clean water reservoir and dumping into the dirty water. We've gone through probably a third of our clean water just on this first round, but you can see the water being shot right here into the dirty water reservoir. Once we are done with this first round, I am going to dump the dirty water and fill back up the clean water, but I'm excited to see what that dirty water looks like. We finished our first round of cleaning. Let's check out our water. Whoa, look at that. It is disgusting. I can't believe how dirty the floor was. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dump this out and run it again. I was actually wondering what was going to be happening to the mopping pads. Like, are they just going to sit in there wet? And all of a sudden it did its whole water dump, and then it told us that the hot air is drying. So that's kind of cool. You might notice that there's a humming noise, and that's just the hot air drying your mopping pads. Because I just have to know, how does the second mop look? You know what? It's just as dirty, but it doesn't look like it uses much water. I'm going to dump this out, and well, let's do it again. Just because I have to know, how does it look after I'm mopping it 2 times in a row? Wow, that is still dirty. I can't believe how much dirt it's getting out of the floor. I'm going to go dump this out just so it's not in there. All right, we want to see what happens when it goes over top of this carpet. Currently, the mopping pads are mopping. We're coming up to the carpet. Oh, look at those pads automatically stopped. That's wonderful. Now what happens when they come right off? All right, so it's off. Now the mopping pads start again. Therefore, it did not get my carpet all wet. I will say, when it goes up against lightweight carpets, it sometimes has more difficulty where it could bunch up the carpet. Sometimes you get lucky, but a lot of the time I have to get the carpet out for being stuck. It just told us that I had to return and wash the mopping pads. This is like one of my favorite parts because it'll actually go up into the machine, backwards of course. As it approaches, it turns on the mopping pads and they immediately start scrubbing on the ramp. That's cool. It's also going to dump the dirty water and exchange it for fresh water. That noise you hear now is the dumping of the water. The cool thing is it's going to take the water that's in there now and heat it up. So now it's going to leave again in just a little bit with hot water to go back and mop your floors. It's now done and on its way to continue mopping. It leaves a row of clean floor as it moves. I did want to go in here and show you this. It definitely has dirty water in here, and I'm hoping that this is going to vacuum out later, but that is pretty nasty. Here's where the pad scrubs up against as it goes through to try to clean off any dirt. Let's talk about some of the inside in here. You can see the 2 metal points. That's where it charges. Of course, that square hole in the back, that's where it dumps the vacuum. And then you see down here, that's where all the water goes out, and that's dirty water in there right now. I will say, I do appreciate that this scrubs the pads, but also as it's scrubbing the pads, when it's done, it also dries the pads so they're just not nasty. It's a pretty cool all-in-one system. As you can imagine, after a month of use, especially if you mop it 2 to 3 times a week, this bin and the base here is going to be disgusting. So what I have here is I just have a bowl of soapy water, and I'm going to use the brush to just scrape off and scrub off here just to try to get it clean. You can see it comes pretty clean really easily. You just got to get in there and scrub. What I'm going to end up doing here is I will come back and wipe this off just so all this excess soap and stuff is not in the machine, but I recommend doing this at least once a month. As you can see, just a few minutes of scrubbing and then wiping it off makes it almost as clean as it was when we first got it. Now that the entryway is clean, it's time to clean up that hot mess in there. We're going to start out at the app. To clean out the sink, we ended up having to put the vacuum cleaner back in because I didn't have the feature for the station. So now we see that we have station features. We're going to click on that. I'm going to swipe this stuff over to the, I see the self-cleaning. We're going to click that. Now, of course, it's going to tell us, well, we have to scrub out everything with our brush and then start the self-cleaning cycle.
Start self-cleaning. Please clean the cleaning sink with the cleaning tool.
Just like before, I'm going to be scrubbing around, getting this dirt all mixed up so it can clean it out. So what's going to happen here is it just
detected that the cleaning sink is full. Please press and hold the station panel button for 5 seconds to draw water.
All right, so we just held the button down here for 5 seconds, draining the water down, but you can tell that I have a lot of scrubbing to go. So tell me, what are your thoughts of the ECOVACS T20 Omni? Something you're looking into, not so much? Let me know down in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. We saw that you can enter the self-cleaning mode from the app. You can also enter it by pushing this button here on top for 5 seconds.
Start self-cleaning. Please clean the cleaning sink with the cleaning tool.
Once I'm done completely scrubbing this out and I feel like it's clean, well, I'm gonna push and hold this button for another 5 seconds, and then it's gonna drain all that water out.
Self-cleaning completed.
In this video, we are looking at the ECOVACS T20 Omni, the self-dumping vacuum and mop. How cool is that? But first, let's talk about that price. Full retail price, right around $1,200, although I have seen it on sale for right around $800. If we talk about that price point, actually, it's right there in the middle of what you would expect for a self-dumping robot vacuum and mop. If we talk about the setup, the app was actually pretty easy to walk through after you read through all of those user agreements, and that took a long time, but the app itself was pretty easy to set up. I appreciate the auto mapping feature where it really just drives around the room detecting the walls and areas, and it makes a map in just a matter of minutes. And if you want to expand it to other parts of the house, you actually can redo that map and send it on to other areas, and it'll actually tell you the different rooms that you are going into. Really neat. Let's talk about the different use. Well, it did a great job vacuuming, and it did an amazing job mopping. I love that it uses hot water, 131 or so degrees Fahrenheit, to mop your floors and clean the brush pads and everything, and not to mention self-drying. Who's ever thought of that? That was pretty sweet. It should be known that if you do not want it to mop or vacuum, you can set it up to do one or the other or both. I tend to do both unless I'm going over hardwood floors, because those I don't really want mopped, but I do like the convenience. Speaking of convenience, did you see how it just picked up the mop pads and stopped spraying water when it went over top of carpet? I love that it was able to sense the different floors. That was really cool as well. I should have said this earlier, but if you want a different color, it does come in white or black, so that can match almost any decor. If this is something that interests you, I will leave a link down in the description. This is Jeff with Jeff Reviews for You. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you have a great day. Although the DEEBOT does a good job of cleaning and drying the pads, I also recommend washing them in the washer at least once every 2 weeks. Otherwise, they do tend to smell, plus they are dirty. So I'm just going to drop mine in the washer, throw them in the dryer, and put them back on. They are all washed and dry. Now we can reattach them and start cleaning the floor again. I really do appreciate that you stayed around for my entire video where I reviewed the self-dumping mop and vacuum. You know what? This is not the first vacuum I've looked at. I actually showed you one right in this video currently, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to link that review right up here. And I would love it if you would click on that link. And when you do, by the magic of the internet, I'm going to join you right here. So go ahead, click it. It's safe, I promise.